Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlog Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel, and this is the time that Xbox is winning. It has been a long time since that has been the case, but I've been feeling this way since late last year when they really had just a glut of games. I mean, it was Indiana Jones and Black Ops 6, of course, and Flight Sim 2024, and all these games kind of like releasing in like a big chunk on top of one another, and of course, expansions for things like Starfield. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of stuff happening. And I'm so used to, for the last, decade plus, Xbox having a really scattered release calendar of things people don't really care about. I'm always interested in it just to see what they bring to the industry. But since late last year and into this year, I've played all the games that they've published so far this year. I played South of Midnight and Avowed and, haven't touched Doom yet, but I have that one downloaded. And so they have this just crazy cadence and Gears Reloaded is coming out, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, and we've got Fable announced, and all this stuff coming, and then games coming to PlayStation. It's like, oh my god, and we don't even know what the Call of Duty game is this year, and the Minecraft movie just came out, and so Xbox and Microsoft and this giant behemoth of gobbling up Activision, Blizzard, King, Bethesda is the dominant force in the industry right now, and it is kind of surreal. And I think that the last two summer showcases that Xbox, Microsoft as a giant brand has had have been some of the best showcases that I've seen. I have recorded discussions and reactions to the 2020. Well, I mean, actually, I've been recording my reactions to Xbox shows since 2020, but the last two especially, I've been really, really blown away by. New announcements, third-party games, lots of first-party stuff, really great pacing, great reveals, and I love the developer deep dive at the end. That was Starfield, then Black Ops 6, and now Outer Wilds 2. And so or Outer Worlds, sorry, Outer Worlds 2. I am crazy excited for this Xbox Summer Game Showcase. Like 10 out of 10 hype because I've just been combing through all the studios they own, all the projects they've announced, and been like, no, yeah, it's like time for like everything to be announced or released. And so obviously that can't be true. So even if like 30%, 25% of what they have in the works is shown, and of course there's projects that we don't even know about, I think it's going to be another all-timer coming out of their 23 and 24 ones, which I also thought were excellent. And so today I just want to go through what will be at Xbox's, or what could be, sorry, at Xbox's Summer Game Showcase. Not all of this will be there, but I just want to show you like how reasonable it is to expect like close to everything because they've announced things so early. They have so many projects, so many studios, and why I'm really confident that it's going to be an excellent, excellent, excellent showcase. So the page that I have pulled up here on Wikipedia is the Xbox Game Studios games published list. So you can already see in 2025 here, Avowed, PS5 for Age of Mythology, South of Midnight, PS5 for Forza Horizon, PS5 for Age 2. Oh, the Retro Classics. That's interesting. I forgot about that. Yeah, that just happened. Gears, Hellblade 2 coming to PS5, Outer Worlds 2 announced this year, Towerborn 2, Towerborn, Ninja Gaiden 4. Like, this is an amazing, amazing year. And this doesn't even count Doom the Dark Ages, which the company owns, and all the Activision games, Call of Duty, Tony Hawk. It's ridiculous. And so all this stuff is out, except for Outer Worlds 2, which we know we're going to see. Ninja Gaiden 4, which we can very safely assume that we'll see. But that's even an example of what I'm talking about here. Going into this year, we had no idea that they were working on this, that they were the publisher of a Ninja Gaiden game coming from Team Ninja and Platinum Games. Like, that's crazy. And it shows, like, sort of the position of like monetary power that they're in, because obviously lots of acquisitions, but they're using this money that's flowing in. Well, this game's actually been in development for it seems like a while, but they're using this money that's flowing in to fund projects that aren't like massive and aren't just kind of like an interesting thing. And Ninja Gaiden 4 looks excellent from that one trailer that we've seen. I had a great reaction to that with my friends, but Ninja Gaiden 4 is gonna be there. I honestly, I think for me, maybe I would have wanted to see it at this first. That would have been a cool new pop, because one thing that I'm interested to see is I'm not sure how many new game announcements from Microsoft's first party we're going to get here, just because they have so many studios that have already announced their projects. They've been announcing things so far ahead of time, but I did like that trailer quite a bit. It made the developer underscore direct. The reveal this year was that, and that was amazing. It was a great surprise. But that's definitely going to be there. Outer Worlds 2 is a known quantity. We've actually seen quite a bit of that because I think IGN did like some deep dive gameplay of it. But we're going to get the what do they call it? I'm actually just going to look this up. It's the developer showcase at the end. I just want to make sure I'm getting my terminology right here. Xbox Showcase plus the Outer Worlds 2 Direct. Okay, sure. Yeah, immediately following the Xbox Game Showcase. And I'm excited to see that. I think Obsidian's maybe the most interesting team that Microsoft owns. I really liked Avowed. I really liked Pentiment. I really liked Grounded. I don't actually really like Outer Worlds so much, but I'm interested in Outer Worlds 2. Polish up some of the weirder things about that. Have a lot more time in the oven than that game did. Towerborn I don't think we'll see again, just because they really have not seemingly been putting their all into it. Of course, Stoic, the studio, is working very hard on it, but like it got like it's a beta on PC last year and then a beta on Xbox this year. I'm like, just put out the game, man. Just put out the game. Fable was delayed to 2026. Now, this is an interesting one because I don't actually feel like we've really seen this game. I mean, there's been three. There's a teaser trailer for it. Then there was like just a general kind of energy trailer. Like, yeah, it is Fable, and there's some jokes, and that's about it. But and then last year's trailer was mostly that again with like a little bit more gameplay. But I want to see what the scope of the game is, what the like real combat of the game is, what the real progression of the game is. So I think it's possible we get a little bit deeper dive trailer, gameplay focused trailer on Fable this year, especially because it was delayed out of this year, which means that the gameplay is ready to show. They're just polishing it probably. So lock on Outer Worlds 2, obviously. Lock on Ninja Gaiden 4. That game is coming out. We will probably get a date for that here, I would assume. And then Fable, maybe a window here. I actually have some predictions written down. Fable trailer for 2026. Yeah, I don't know if it gets like a quarter or like maybe summer. Fable, summer 2026. Cool gameplay trailer. And then that'll be when we get like a even deeper dive breakdown in the developer underscore direct. Next year, we have no reason to assume they'll stop doing those, so that's why I assume that'll be one of those. Clockwork Revolution, I think, is interesting because that was announced in 2023 alongside South of Midnight as like the new announcements of that show, new IP. And that game is already out. South of Midnight is already out. Pretty good turnaround on that with like for Xbox's standards, pretty good turnaround on South of Midnight from a summer 2023 release to early 2025 release. And so I think Clockwork Revolution is next year. Get a quick look here at In Exile, acquired by Microsoft in 2018. Yeah. And the last game they released was in 2020. So 6 years on Clockwork Revolution is massive. And so I absolutely think that game is ready for next year. I think that we see that there, and that is, again, much like we saw South Midnight this year. It's an early 2026 thing. Q1, spring, I guess they'll say, 2026. And I'm really excited for that. I love Bioshock, which that game is very clearly basing itself off of a little bit. And now people who are into Bioshock likes are probably going to have a crazy time period coming up here with Judas, Clockwork Revolution, and the Cloud Chamber Bioshock game from 2K. So I think, for me, that's a lock. And that's, again, we're 4 games in, and I'm excited for all of these. They're all very different. And I think they're all very, very likely. Contraband, I also think, is very likely. Contraband announced in, let's see, I got to get my, yeah, Contraband's announced in 2021. We haven't seen a single thing from that game since then. Avalanche has had some weird stuff going on. I believe there was some layoffs and restructuring and stuff. But as far as we know, Contraband is still happening. There's still Xbox and Microsoft pages for that game up. So I do think we can see it here. I think that would be a gameplay reveal for a 2026 release date. And I think it's an extraction shooter, which is interesting given the state that we're in with particularly Marathon and Arc Raiders kind of being competing upcoming and distraction shooters, but Xbox doesn't have one. It's a space that I think is growing right now, and I think they want to have one a game and an entry in. So I think we'll probably see that again today. And here's the one that I'm weirdly confident about is I really do think we're going to see Everwild from Rare. This game announced in 2020. Good God, or no, 2019, I think, because it says new trailer. Yeah, now it's just, I mean, pre-pandemic. It's the oldest game that they have announced that we haven't heard from or seen again. But earlier this year, Phil Spencer mentioned offhandedly that he's seen the game. He's really excited about the way it's going. So it is still in production. He would not have said that if it was not. And the fact that he mentioned that, and I believe Rare posted some general Everwild, like Happy New Year's or something artwork, confirms to me, basically, that we're going to see it this year. And I think it's for next year. And so we've already set up. Well, I don't know. Maybe we don't get a year date for that. We just have to see it again. I do think we're going to see it again this year. Because Phil Spencer mentioning, like, get excited for it. Come on. Like, you don't say that if it's going to be 3 years away, or if you're not going to see it sometime soon. And the sometime soon, really the only time that Xbox has to show things is at this summer showcase. They don't really do, for first-party games, showcases otherwise. And so I do think that's going to be there. Gears of War E-Day is an interesting one. This is the one that is the most rumored about right now, because people are saying that it could be this year. Now, with Gears Reloaded launching in August, I believe, let me make sure that's correct. Gears of War Reloaded, yeah, August 26th. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense to do two Gears projects back to back, especially when Gears Reloaded will be on PlayStation, and I doubt that Gears E-Day would be at launch, especially. But there have been enough people saying, and it's been a long enough, 2018, 2019 since the Coalition's last game released. Well, Gears Tactics, yeah, they worked with Splash Damage, but Gears 5, 2019. It has been 6 years as of now, and so 7 years as of next year. It is time. It's the longest gap between Gears games. And so, yeah. And people are saying it could release this year. And so I think maybe you open on a trailer for Gears of War E-Day. Show us the gameplay, give us a better sense of that story. It was what closed the actual showcase last year before the Black Ops Direct. I think you open. I think it gets dated. And I think it's... Man, I guess it's coming out this year. That'd be crazy. And that'd be their big holiday game since Fable got delayed out of the year. Yeah, interesting. Now, OD, I don't think we see. Death Stranding 2 is coming out like 2 weeks after the showcase. The game is in post-production now, but I think OD is maybe a trailer at the Game Awards this year. So I'm not expecting to see that, and that's fine. We've already gone through like 7 games where I'm like, yeah, we're probably going to see it. Perfect Dark, I actually do think is also next year. Man, well, I'm creating the best year for a single publisher ever with 2026, and so obviously not all of this is going to happen. But again, to my very beginning point of this, it's not unrealistic to have any or all of this be shown, or all of this be released imminently. We got a really cool, I love the gameplay trailer we saw last year. For really first time we'd seen that game since its teaser. And so I think they just don't want to lose that momentum, to be honest. And so I think second trailer maybe showing off a little bit more of the cinematic side of the game this year, and date it for 2026 vaguely. And then, yeah, I guess that'd be another one that we would get in a developer underscore direct next year. And then if it comes out in the second half of the year, maybe, or well, yeah, because I'm trying to think. We also have the slot of next year's summer showcase, or summer direct, like single game direct after the showcase. What would that be? I guess it might be Perfect Dark, right? It's something that they're really putting a lot of effort into. So yeah, I think we could see that here, and if not, that'll be next time we see it will be at the developer underscore direct. But again, not unlikely. Project Mara from Ninja Theory, I'm not even really confident this is like a real thing. I think it might just be kind of like technology. They just put out Hellblade 2 last year. They're obviously working on Hellblade Enhanced, I think it's called, for PS5 right now. And presumably this in the background, but I'm really not sure about this. Yeah, 2020, a horror game from Ninja Theory. I don't know, man. We'll see about that. Project Maverick from People Can Fly. This was just signed a couple years ago. I don't expect to see that yet. State of Decay 3, I do think we see again this year. Again, cinematic trailer last year after being closed off for a long time. I think the key is consistent communication rather than going silent for years and years and years on almost all these projects. Almost everything I've talked about here: Everwild, Perfect Dark, State of Decay, Contraband, Fable. All of these games they just announced and then didn't talk about for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Jesus Christ! Or well, that's not entirely true, but like it's ridiculous how long the amount of time is between the announcement of these games and the next time we see them. And State of Decay 3 shown off last year with no date. But the fact that they showed it last year at all means that they want to get it back in people's minds. I think we see it again here with actual consistent gameplay again this year and then dated for next year. I think that's very likely. When was the last time Undead put out a game? 2018. Jesus Christ. That'll have been 8 years between games. Yeah, that game's got to be close to done. And the final game that they have here on this Xbox Game Studio published list is the Toys for Bob game. Toys for Bob signed an agreement with Microsoft to have a game published by them after they spun off from Activision. That was only confirmed early last year. I don't think we see that game yet. I think the best we get is maybe a teaser next year. But again, they signed the deal in May 2024. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they weren't maybe thinking about that game or working on it a little bit before that, but yeah, I don't expect to see that this year. But so I'm just going to count from specifically Xbox Game Studios published games that I think are very likely to see here. We know about Outer Worlds 2. Ninja Gaiden 4, I think definitely. Fable gameplay trailer. Clockwork Revolution for next year. Contraband, I think needs a re-reveal. Everwild, I'm very confident in. Gears E-Day, if it comes out this year. And Perfect Dark, I also think is imminent. And State of Decay 3, so that's I lost my count. I think it's either 8 or 9 games there that are very likely and reasonable to see because we've seen some of each of them, or it's been fucking forever since we've seen them. This then brings us to the other part of this that makes us even more crazy is that they've acquired so many studios that are not technically Xbox Game Studios published games because something like Activision, Blizzard, and ZeniMax, which is Bethesda, are technically still their own publishing houses. I wonder if they'll ever consolidate them. Just in my mind, that would make more sense, but they're still first-party owned studios by Microsoft, and their games should be focused on in a direct like this. I mean, the opening announcement last year was Doom: The Dark Ages, and obviously we've seen them put a big emphasis on Starfield and then Black Ops 6, which are two of the biggest games they've published this generation. And so Call of Duty is an interesting one. I have played a number of Call of Duty games, but I'm not in the know enough to know if what the announcement cadence is. I think it would be smart for the association between Microsoft and Call of Duty, which is the biggest game that releases every year, to have the next game announced and revealed with a trailer in your showcase. But I don't know if that is the case. That series is big enough to warrant its own thing, but also, I think you just got to start that association, right? I mean, you started it last year. I associate Black Ops 6 with Xbox. They had that in their showcase as the big closer last year for this Direct. Yeah, that's an interesting one that I would say, ideally, the next Call of Duty would also be revealed here. And I guess that would be the closer. Which, isn't that supposed to be like a Black Ops 7 or something? Like kind of what they did with Modern Warfare 3? I'm not really sure. But I think it would be interesting and important to see a trailer here, but I'm not perfectly confident in that. Also from Activision is Tony Hawk. Could get another trailer for that here. I don't really think that's necessary because the game's coming out so soon. And then for Bethesda, Doom is out. Don't need to see another trailer for that unless there's a DLC they want to announce, but I kind of doubt that. I think that would be next year maybe. And then they're the obvious stuff that I don't really need to get into, but are always here. Something for Diablo, maybe something for Overwatch, something for Starfield, something for Fallout 76, something for Sea of Thieves, something for Elder Scrolls Online. They have all these boxes they need to check because they do yearly updates, major updates for those games. Um, and then Blade is kind of the last thing because Machine Games just put out a game, id just put out a game, Bethesda Softworks just put out a game, or BGS, Bethesda Game Studios. And so Arcane is kind of the only one still like with a hanging project, which is Blade. I've been, I think I've been a little too optimistic about how quickly that game is going to come out. We don't know how much they were working on it before they announced it in 2023 at the Game Awards. I think it's still a little too early for that. But yeah, I mean, again, all of this on top of the fact that there are probably projects we don't know about. Things like, and let's just actually go to the studios that Xbox owns. Xbox owned, or I guess Xbox Game Studios, but I should look up Xbox Game Studios and get a list of those teams. See if there's anyone we missed here, because they do publish, like indie stuff, like from teams they don't own that are new, like Moon Studios. They're not obviously publishing that, but like the Ori games, Cuphead, As Dusk Falls, they do that quite consistently. So, and even Towerborn is one of those. So that might be one that we like one of those that we see here, which would be cool. I like when they do that. But talked about Collision. Don't need to talk about Compulsion. Double Fine. Thank you. I'm so glad. Thank you, me. I'm so glad I went to this. I think it's time. I think it's time for the next Double Fine game. They have been quiet since 2021. 4 whole years, which is usually more than the amount of time it takes them to make a game. They usually have a lot of smaller projects, but since their acquisition, it's just been Psychonauts 2, which I think is maybe the best game that Xbox has published or been involved in some capacity that I've played in a long time. But I think it's time for another Double Fine game. And I think a teaser and reveal of that as a new game, probably a new IP, would be amazing, would be excellent here. And I think that's likely, again. So we may add that to like 10, 11 if you count Codden, if that shows up. Halo Studios, yeah. So Halo is interesting because Infinite could get some sort of update, and I don't even really know if I would count that. I would probably black out and not even think about it while it was happening. But they have 2 projects they're involved in that people have been talking about: a Halo Combat Evolved remake, which I think is codenamed Project Foundry, and then there's another game that they're working on with Certain Affinity that is rumored to be some sort of multiplayer project that might be its own game that they've been working on for a couple of years. I just don't know how long they want to go without a Halo game. How long was it between Infinite and 5? Or I guess there was some spinoffs in between there, but yeah, I think the multiplayer game's probably first. And I just don't know how big or how substantial these projects are. But I'm not going to be confident on that one. I'm very confident on all these other ones that they're likely to be seen. But there are a couple projects from Halo Studios that we could see, but those are a little bit lower for me. Talk about Initiative, talk about In Exile. Mojang, I don't know enough about if there are rumors of them working with another external studio for something like Legends or Dungeons. A Dungeons 2 would not be a bad idea. That game, I think did well, and with the movie out, I think a new game on store shelves would be, and to promote, would be pretty big. And so I'll put that at like a 20 or 30% likelihood, just because I think they know that it would be smart to have a new game released with Minecraft in the title. Obsidian, we talked about. Honestly, I just kind of hope they don't have another game in that they're announcing, because I just think we need to get through the Avowed into Outer Worlds 2 time period. The fact they're releasing 2 major games in 1 year is already crazy to me. But we'll see. I don't hope, because I would love to see another Pentiment or Grounded style smaller project from them, because I think that's really, really interesting. But Playground, Forza Horizon. Now that's the real kicker, because on the usual cadence, it would be time for a new Forza Horizon game. It was only 3 years between 4 and 5, and now we've hit 4 years between 5 and 6. But the PS5 version of Horizon 5 just released. But see, the thing is, I think, and maybe this is the same with Gears E-Day, maybe they're not that worried about releasing things on top of one another, especially if they're technically in competing ecosystems. You provide PlayStation audiences with Gears Reloaded and Forza Horizon 5, two excellent games, presumably. We haven't seen Reloaded, but and then you announce that the new games are coming soon. Um, maybe maybe E-Day is this year, and you just get them hungry for that, and then have the PS5 port middle of next year or whatever, like they did with Indy, and then announce Forza Horizon 6 here and release that next year, and give it a year between the release of the PS5 version of 5 and the release of 6. That would be pretty crazy. Rare, we talked about. We'll see something from Sea of Thieves, and I do think we're seeing Everwild. Turn 10, no. They only do Forza Motorsport, and I mean, maybe there'd be an update trailer for that. I don't even remember. There being Motorsport update trailers. Undead Love we talked about. World's Edge, they just put out 2 projects, so I doubt that. Yeah, let me just double check if I'm missing any studios. I think that might kind of be it. There is this studio that I just want to continue reminding people about exists. Is this Elsewhere Entertainment? Though that was only studio was only announced last year or started last year. A studio called Elsewhere Entertainment that's supposed to be making a new IP single player game from Activision. But again, that is Microsoft. That would be here, but it's way too early for that. I mean, I feel that is an initiative style situation where it's a major team and they're just gonna stew for years. So man, we might not see that game even in a teaser trailer until 27 or something like that. And then I mean there might be some other Activision projects or things, but I think that kind of brings us to the end of all this. I think I've played out a pretty good case with the cadence of all these games, with the amount of projects that they are involved in, the surprise factors that we don't even know about, that this is probably going to be one of the better showcases ever. I mean, I don't want to set people's expectations too high, but like it's likely to see all this stuff. And now most of it won't be new, but that's just a symptom of announcing things too early rather than the games themselves not being exciting or diverse. I think Xbox is doing a great job with their with what they've been doing the last 8 months or so, and I want to see that continue. And it seems like it is going to continue with things like Doom into Tony Hawk, into Gears, into Outer Worlds 2, into Ninja Gaiden, whatever order those end up coming out in. We already have a great year for 2025 for them, and it's like probably pretty likely that a similar cadence happens next year as well. But I hope you enjoyed hearing me ramble about Xbox and why I'm really excited for their Summer Games Showcase. Thank you very much for watching, and you will see me in my reactions to that show coming soon.